We'll figure it out.
Yeah, by episode, I don't know what we'd be on by in 2021.
438, maybe 20. Let's see. It is 2016 now.
Yes,
2021 is 5 years away. If we do one podcast every week, that's 52
2 weeks. Yeah, times 5
How many weeks are left in this year?
is
Because subtract that from
yeah.
that total. I don't know. Welcome to QGP.
Yeah, welcome to Quadratics Gaming Podcast. I'm Zach Tussing. Joined.
See, we
still
can't get it right.
All right. Whatever.
I'm
Just give your
Charles.
name.
I'm Charles Fillmore. He's Zach Tussing, and this
All
has
right.
been QGP.
QGP.
Thank you. Good night.
So you just took over my position there, my one job, introing us.
Yeah, I took everything, the only thing you ever had, and
Yeah.
I took it from you. It's mine now. This is my podcast.
So let's get into what we've been playing this week. You haven't been playing a whole lot. Been playing a lot of Animal Crossing at work.
Yeah,
I should give you time to explain why.
well, I'm working at Citibank, and when I was hired, they hired me on as a Sears credit. They hired me to work on Sears credit applications, and when I started working, they had us all. They pulled us all aside and they're like, okay, so you're not actually going to be training for Sears credit right away. You're going to eventually, but right now you're going to be training for Costco fraud, because Citi had just acquired Costco. So they pulled us into that, and they had us training for ever. And as I'm telling this, I'm realizing this probably people don't want to listen to me yammer on and on about. Basically, I was pulled into a bunch of. You can edit out the.
No, this is the QGP vlog that we're doing now. We're just gonna vlog about our lives.
We just need audio jump cuts. Basically, I was hired for one position, but they started training us for a couple of other positions, and I'm now actually in the training for my hired job. And during breaks, I've been playing Animal Crossing. I started in a new town not too long ago, so I've been getting that set up and just kind of hanging out, waiting for the Meebo update and whatever else is happening alongside that.
Yeah, so I can't stop it. So how many hours did you have into your original town? Or do you do like multiple towns normally in Animal Crossing games?
I think I have reset my town once before.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is probably my third town.
Wow.
In New Leaf.
I can never get myself to start over.
It's hard.
Yeah, I have about 120 hours, I think.
Yeah. It's not easy because you have so much that you've accomplished, that you've spent so much time on, but there's something I've always liked restarting projects and working on them from the beginning on through. So
well, I enjoy that too when there are multiple save files, but I can never get myself to delete a single save game.
Yeah, you kind of have to commit to it. Well, I mean, you definitely have to commit to it, but you got to own it.
Yeah,
it's like moving your character to a new town from
which
your
is
old
exactly
town.
what it is.
Yeah.
Well, your character has no history, so you can just pretend it's the same character.
Well, that's one of the neat things about Animal Crossing, and something I see the community doing a lot of is building kind of a story around their mayor character.
Wait, like fan fiction?
Well, yeah, they create
Headcanon?
they create a story around their their character, and they kind of they fashion the town around that, or they design their home and dress their character like that. And like there will be people make comics and stuff about it. There's some really cool Animal Crossing fan stuff out there.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
So you haven't gotten a chance to play too much more Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi, right?
No, I managed to get a couple more battles in on the Glitz Pit in Thousand Year Door, and I just made it to Bowser's Castle for the first time. I'm not sure. It feels like I'm there too soon for this to be the end.
Okay, so how long have you played since the last time we talked about it? Because you were in like the Bowser drinking and flooding.
Yeah, I'm past that.
Did you do the carrot thing?
Yes, I've.
Okay, so you
I've
did
done
the giant battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
That was so cool.
It worked so well, and I thought it was terrible in like the giant Luigi battles. Were nowhere near that good.
Now, aesthetically, I liked the Luigi battles because something about like seeing, like it would show blurbs of text like Luigi's subconscious thoughts and things about things like "wait for me, bro," or like "I can help too," and it's like things like that got to me. So I liked that, and seeing like all of Luigi's subconscious like big in itself and rush to Mario's aid was just felt very powerful. The battles themselves were kind of meh.
Okay.
But
yeah, I definitely
the
agree
Bowser
with that.
battle was I wasn't expecting it. It came out of left field for me.
Yeah, and because when I played Bowser's Inside Story before Dream Team, so I didn't even know, like, this was the first time they had giant battles. So it really, I was so not expecting that, because I remember reading a whole article in Nintendo Power back when that was a thing, and I think they had a whole thing like the first hour or so of the game, like leading up to that moment, but then they left off there, so they didn't spoil what happened. So I actually knew what was going to happen beforehand, but I didn't know about that giant battle. So
Yeah.
I've been playing Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All, which is the sequel. Been playing a lot of that.
That's the original trilogy, right?
Yeah, that's the second one. And I'm not liking it so far. The cases are really boring.
Oh yeah?
I've heard this third and fourth ones are really good, but the first one is generic and the second one is just boring. I'm having a really hard time making it through this. Yeah, and I don't know if you've listened to the soundtrack for the Ace Attorney games. They are fantastic.
No, I haven't listened to them.
Yeah, they really increase like the tension of those moments. And like the beat increases like as you get like someone like on the ropes, like if they're starting.
Disclaimer: we are once again joined by Clover. We apologize for any baby noises that you may or may not experience during this podcast.
I always have to find those then if we don't put them.
Well, okay. So just remember that it's here.
Yeah.
If it's right here, if you're hearing this, you've gone too far. Back it up a little bit.
And then I've been playing a lot of Severed. I picked it up within like an hour of it not going on, like the sale dropping. So, and it is fantastic. So you said you're a big dungeon crawler fan.
Yeah.
You need this game.
Oh boy.
You need this game.
Ooh.
I'm not a huge dungeon crawler fan, and this is going down as one of my favorite games this year.
Ooh.
So
okay. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
What specifically, I guess, do you want to know?
So I know it's a dungeon crawler. Can you like kind of explain the gameplay?
So it's actually, it looks 3D when you're watching footage of it, but it's actually all done through sprites. So like every time you move to a new area, like it gives the illusion that it's moving, but you're actually passing through layers of sprites.
Okay.
So, and I mean, the game is gorgeous. I know you've seen the footage already, so.
Yeah. Well, it was made by the same team that made Guacamelee. I know
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
that game is gorgeous.
Yeah, this game, I like this more than Guacamelee. I'm just putting that out there.
Well, they're two different kind of games, but.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying this game more than I enjoyed Guacamelee, and I really enjoyed Guacamelee. So.
Okay.
And the combat is so much fun. So it's I didn't quite get a feel for what it was going to be like from just watching the trailers.
Right.
But like what you basically have to do is like you can attack at any point and you can just attack continuously. You can swipe really fast, but shorter swipes do less damage. And you're basically like if you get surrounded by enemies, which is the usual battles, like you have about like 2 to 3 enemies, and you have to like to move around to each of them so you're facing them, and they have little circles at the bottom of the screen, and they have like little yellow meters that charge up, and if they fully charge up, then they attack. So some enemies you have to attack them first to set them back from attacking, or others you have to swipe the exact way that they're attacking at the same angle to block it.
Okay, so this is more of like an active battle system than it is turn-based.
It is not turn-based at
Okay.
all, and it's so much better than a turn-based battle system would have been, which is actually turn-based battles in these kind of first-person dungeon crawlers is one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the genre. So this is absolutely perfect for me, and I can definitely understand why this is on mobile devices. So I think it could work very well. It's very touch-based. So
Okay, that sounds really cool.
yeah, so it's more of like managing the enemies that are on screen and kind of paying attention to the bars at the bottom, and then kind of not quite punch out, but somewhat similar of like figuring out each enemy's like the way to take them down.
Okay,
So-
so there's a strategy to it where you can try just like hacking and stuff. Wow, you just tossed that across the room, didn't you? So to where you can try hacking and slashing an enemy, you're not going to do as well. But if you can figure out their weakness, then you can execute powerful attacks.
So if I give you some examples, I think you'll be able to figure it out easier. So like one of the first enemies you meet in the game is like this 4-armed monster.
Okay.
So you meet the like 4-armed monster, like that's the usual, like the generic enemy of the game.
It's the Goomba.
Yeah, and they actually, if you start swiping from a particular direction, like consistently, they will actually block it. So similar to Skyward Sword, then you have to move to the other end, and about every 3 hits, they move to where they're blocking the current attack, like the direction of your attack.
Okay.
So you have to keep mixing that up, and then their bar charges very quickly once they attack. So you don't have a lot of time to react once they start it, but they don't attack for quite some time.
Okay.
So you have to pay attention because once you see it start to build up at the bottom, you have to immediately turn your attention to them. And then when they attack, you have to swipe at the exact direction that they're going to be attacking, and then you can block it, and it gives you an opening to attack, to counterattack. So, and then there are other enemies, like there's a fungus style enemy that has a like really slow charging attack, and it just keeps growing like more fungus, and you have to knock the fungus off of it, and then once you're doing that, it'll open up its eye for a few seconds, and you can swipe it. So it has to open its eye, which is its weakness, to start charging its fungal growth.
That's neat.
So then like if you get the more consecutive hits that you build up, it charges your severed gauge, and once it's maxed out, that's how you like once you defeat an enemy with severed gauge, with your severed gauge full, then a quick time event will come up, and you have to chop off as many limbs as you can within the time limit.
Okay.
And then any of those that you chop off, then you get to use to build up your stats.
Okay,
Through a
and
skill
that's the
tree.
next thing I was gonna ask about, because I saw in one of the videos there was a mechanic where you gather pieces off of your enemies and use it to upgrade your equipment.
It's not equipment; it's skills. So, like for instance, they'll like more. The generic ones are like more damage, or more damage to like longer swipes, more defense, and then there are like some special abilities you get. I won't spoil too much of it for you, but you get like a bird mask partway through the game that allows you to freeze enemies temporarily.
Okay.
So you can use that to buy some time to focus on the others, because it gets pretty intense when you have about 4 to 6 enemies on screen at once.
Oh, how many? Is it like? Are there 4 points of direction, or?
Usually there are, but there are some battles that, like there was one instance where I fought 6 enemies at once.
Oh wow.
So like 6 of those fungus enemies. So you have to just keep chopping off fungus in a circle and then focus on one, get a few hits. It's very time management based, rather than it's like strategic and time management.
Okay, that does sound really neat.
Because you like a charge attack later in the game, but it's mostly just the one attack. It's just figuring out. It's just figuring out the right tactic for each enemy. So.
Okay, so each enemy is kind of a puzzle in its own right.
Yeah, and once you defeat an enemy, it's gone from the world forever. So there are a lot of encounters, but
so there's a finite number of times that you can level up.
Yeah, there's no level. You're basically increasing different skills from the skill tree. So, and you'll find some different armor pieces as you go along, but that's more story based.
Okay.
And it has some really cool, cool horror elements without being a horror game. So it's a really interesting, moody vibe to it. Mm-hmm. There's like teleporters that you can go through, different portals to different areas. Yeah, it's a game you really just need to experience. So.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll get it on 3DS at some point, or it's cheaper for iPhone, so I could get it for that.
Yeah.
Although, you know, I do want to support these developers because I loved Guacamelee, and this sounds really good. So maybe I'll spring for the 3DS version.
Yeah, I think there'd be I think they're doing the discount when it comes out on 3DS, the 10% discount. But I think it's $13.50, but it's definitely worth that.
It sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically what I've been playing.
Okay.
Should move on to recent releases. So Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 came out yesterday.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know too much about the series, but I liked the demo of the first game when I played it, so I imagine that the second game is the same but better.
Hopefully better. Yeah, it seems $13.50 for this one seems a little overpriced to me, just because I've heard there's not as much content in it, and it just doesn't seem as like spectacular and new as something like Severed or Jotun.
Right.
So I'm probably not going to be picking this one up.
Unless it goes like crazy sale. I hope it picks me up all right in here.
Yeah, the Fast Racing Neo DLC came out this week.
There you go. Yeah. So is that are there any new cars, or is it just racetracks?
There's a bunch of new cars and then 8 new tracks for $5.
Oh, wow.
So it's 2 cups, 8 tracks, and I think like 10 cars or something. There's a lot of.
Wow, that's a substantial.
Yeah.
That's a lot for not a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. I'm probably gonna end up picking it up at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe when I come home from this podcast. From what I heard, the developers were saying that because they've now had more time and they've built up this engine, that these are going to be like the 8 craziest courses that they've done.
Oh boy.
So these are going to be even more insane. They've had a whole lot of fun developing this.
Yeah.
But Shannon is actually working on their next project.
Okay.
So
any word on what that is?
No, they said they can't talk about it yet, which makes me think it's probably on NX. So
that does. Yeah, that does sound like an NX type thing.
Yeah. Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice.
I mean, I guess it's a thing.
I didn't know if you had any other thoughts on that.
I mean, I know the handheld game, like the last one, the last Sonic Boom that was on 3DS.
Shattered Crystal.
I know that one did okay. It wasn't fantastic though.
Yeah. I've heard this one is better, but the fact that, I mean, Sega's been saying like, oh, you can celebrate the Sonic's 25th anniversary with this game, and it's clear to me that this was. They wanted to celebrate with whatever Generations 2 and Mania, but those just got pushed into next year. So
yeah,
this was kind of a fallback.
Yeah, well, they can. It's what, his 20th, 25th,
25th, right?
25th. They can celebrate the 26th anniversary, and I'm sure that Sonic Hedgehog Twitter will be right on board with making fun of the odd number.
Yeah. Also on the eShop now, new Play Control Pikmin, which weirdly enough, so I started replaying new Play Control Pikmin 2 days before they announced this.
Oh,
so you're welcome, everyone.
Well, awesome. I thought it was kind of funny we had just talked about Pikmin pretty extensively.
Yeah.
And
I think Nintendo's been listening to this podcast. They're one of our 8 reviews.
yeah.
Oh gosh, gee, I bet Reggie's listening right now. Hi, Reggie. Reggie, I love you.
So I consider this the superior version of Pikmin. So it's $20 right now, which is a really good deal. So if you haven't played the original Pikmin, now is a perfect time.
Yeah.
I went back and I started replaying it because every time I see Pikmin footage, I want to play a Pikmin game. So I kept seeing a lot of footage for the new Pikmin on 3DS, and then people comparing it, and I kept seeing like footage of Pikmin 3 on Wii U, and it made me want to go back and replay Pikmin games. So
the first game had something the other ones didn't have. It had that 30-day time limit. And
yeah, man, that makes that game intense.
It does, but it's like it's not like Majora's Mask where it's like constantly I don't know, it feels like a different kind of tension.
Yeah.
Than something like that. And like the first time I played it, I wasn't able to recover everything in enough time.
So what happens? I've never beaten the original, never completed the original Pikmin.
So what happens if you don't?
Yeah.
If you don't manage to get everything within enough time, then Olimar isn't able to escape the planet, and he tries to take off with as much as he's managed to recover.
Yeah.
He isn't able to leave the planet, and he is reborn as a Pikmin.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the Pikmin feed him to one of the onions, and he comes out as a like. I think grows in the ground, and you like see, he's got like a big old nose, and his antenna sticking out of the ground.
That really just changed the entire Pikmin series for me.
Yeah, so canonically, Captain Olimar at some point probably died.
Yeah.
But if you get enough parts, because I think there were
25. You need 25, but there's the 5 that you don't need are like they don't tell you which ones you don't need. So if you get any 25, there's still a good chance you're not going to beat the game.
Right.
So you should really just aim for all 30 of them.
Yeah, and it's really good for multiple playthroughs because it's good for multiple playthroughs because you start to understand how the game works, and you memorize the environments, and you could build a strategy from day one.
Yeah. I think probably my least favorite part of the original Pikmin is like because of that 30-day limit, fighting the bosses is ridiculous. I mean, because like any day that you don't get a piece of the ship, you feel like you've wasted something, and then you have to work really hard.
Right.
So, like fighting the bosses with like a time limit like that is so hard.
Oh yeah, and the stakes are so high because you don't have you can't afford, like in Pikmin 2, to spend a good few days building an army.
Yeah, you have a limited time, so you have to spend like the beginning of the day getting enough troops ready, or one thing that made it a little hard was that you only had the one captain, so you had to run around. You had to have several projects going on at the same time, and you spent a lot of the time running back and forth between those. So you'd have like one group maybe like knocking down a wall, and you'd be gathering resources to build your army, and you would have another few working on bringing back a piece that you found. So there's a lot of tension going on, and the stakes are really high because you have to maximize as much of your resources as you can. And it makes it all that much worse when you start losing Pikmin to them thinking on their own and trying to pluck grass, like nectar out of grass.
Yeah, so
that's so irritating. They took that out in Pikmin 3, and I'd forgotten that was a feature in this game. As soon as they see grass, they immediately run over to it if you get anywhere near it, and they don't follow you then. After they've eaten the nectar, they stay there until that you pick them up. So.
Yeah.
And then going back for those Pikmin that you lost, other Pikmin will then go to the grass that they didn't pick.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of crowd control issues, but
yeah, they really refined it with 2 and 3.
Yeah,
or so I've heard with 2.
With 2 you had 2 captains, so it was a little easier to manage multitasking because you could have one with you could basically separate it. You could only have the 100 in the field at a time, but you could have 50 with one captain and 50 with the other, and have them go about their business.
And Pikmin 3 had 3 captains, so I guess Pikmin 4 will have 4.
Maybe
That's what the numbers are referring to.
Maybe
They were just sequel numbers, but
it could be.
But Pikmin 3 is, I think, the best in the series just because it gets the time limit. You have to keep your ship alive, like your crew alive, by getting fruit. But you don't have the exact time limit. So you're limited by how much food that you still have.
Right.
So.
And I've never played it. Is there a finite number of fruit that you can find?
Yes, but there's enough there that if you're a collector, you can go basically as long as you want.
Okay,
so I collected every piece of fruit in this entire game.
About how many days does that give you?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and replay it. I need to go back and replay it now.
But I think one thing you were saying was that it was frustrating because with the bosses in the first game, having like it was such a risk going to face a boss, but I feel like the game was kind of built so that some things were harder, but some parts of it were easier. So like maybe one boss was harder, and you spent 1 or 2 days building your troops and working on that. But there are objects that are like very close to each other that are easy enough to get. So it kind of makes up for it. So you maybe lose a little bit of time working on that boss, but then on the next few days you're getting a lot of parts of your ship.
Yeah. Well, what ends up happening, and what's happening again with this playthrough, is I get all the easy stuff, and I have 20 pieces right now, and all the remaining ones are like the boss levels.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh boy.
Yeah, I kind of screw myself every time I play Pikmin. That's my style. It's like I see the others like, oh, this one's easier. I'll just go for this one today, and then I end up not wanting to finish it because then there's so many awful bosses to do in a row.
And another thing is finding strategies for the bosses, because you typically just think like you just throw your Pikmin at them or have them swarm, but there are specific points where it is like optimal for you to have your Pikmin attack.
Yeah.
So like maybe I know there's I think it's in the second one, but I feel like it holds true in the first game. There's a boss that will it like takes up an entire room and it'll roll over and destroy your Pikmin.
Wait, is it the one shooting boulders? Wait, you said Pikmin 2?
Yeah, but I feel like there are bosses similar to it in the first game. I just can't remember.
Well, there's that like one big boss enemy that spits boulders out, or I guess they'd be like small stones by scale, but they seem huge.
Yeah. And so like you have to, like you can swarm all your Pikmin in, but then like if you're not anticipating what that bot, if you don't know, like already know, or if you're not being too careful, you'll lose your entire army in like a snap.
Oh yeah, especially with that I forget the bird, like that's just a neck and a beak.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. I remember Smash Brothers had a lot of trophies.
Yeah, that one is. I think that's my least favorite in the entire game.
Oh yeah,
because it's so hard. And I think do the bosses in the original Pikmin regain health if you leave them after a day? I feel like they did, but I'm not sure.
I think they do. I know during battle they don't regain health, but
yeah, but I mean if you leave them, like if you start the boss and come back later, because Pikmin 3 introduced that feature, they would actually save how much damage you dealt to the major bosses, so that you could come back with a better supply of Pikmin.
Oh, okay. So you could whittle down a boss over the
Yeah, you
course
could
of a few
start
days.
the boss like on like the 4th or 5th day, and then come back like in a game's week, and then finish it off when you have more Pikmin. So
Okay, that's cool.
Pikmin 3 is just amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Pikmin 3.
I've never actually played it, so maybe maybe we can play that for Quadratics.
Oh yeah. I would love to replay that game. Soul Axiom is out now.
Uh-huh.
So
That's,
still- it's one
that's-
of those walking simulators, as they call them. But
that's the one that we thought looked really cool. The
Yeah,
one I
yeah.
said looked like Portal. Isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, you did. Yeah, because you have different power ups, and you go into different like various dreams, and in each one like you get a different power up to manipulate the dream.
Okay.
So
Well, I think that sounds like fun.
yeah, I want to get it. It's $15 right now. It's normally $20 on every other device, but because it took so long to get to Wii U, so I think that's it for this week as far as new releases or notable releases.
Uh-huh. I feel like we kind of spent a good chunk talking about Pikmin there.
Yeah, and before we get into the news, I actually had a discussion question that I thought of as we were doing this. Nintendo movies. So that's going to be a thing in the next couple of years. What Nintendo movie do you want to see?
There's a lot of stuff I'd really like to see. I feel like could make for a good movie if they did it right. I feel like the Mario Brothers could be. I feel like that could be a lot of fun. And I don't want to see like a traditional Mario game turned into a movie. I want to see.
Super boring.
My dream Mario movie would be something like Mario RPG.
I was gonna say my dream Mario movie would be Paper Mario. I think Paper Mario would be such a cool like 3D animated film,
It would.
and I think that would be lend itself better to these more sticker star stories than the games. So, and since we were talking about Pikmin, I think a Pikmin movie could be really good.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as well. But I didn't because we just talked about that. I didn't want to.
Yeah, that's the reason I.
Yeah,
thought
I
of that.
didn't
was
want to
I
like
really
jump
wanna
on that
see-
one like right from the get go.
Yeah, I really want to see a Pikmin movie.
Yeah.
So bad.
Because it has like he has the diary entries and you like, there's this desperation, and I feel like that would translate so well to a movie.
Do you think the characters would talk to each other? I think they would have to.
Yeah, I think they'd probably have maybe like kind of sillyish voices, but I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be endearing more than annoying.
And they should probably go with like a new cast of characters. I feel like they did with Pikmin 3.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it would be so different than any other movie that's out right now, especially animated films.
Yeah, and I haven't seen them for whatever reason, but they've already made those Pikmin shorts.
Yeah, because they
So-
cost money on the eShop, and so that's why I haven't. They're like really overpriced, or at least they were.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered to try and find them on YouTube.
I'm sure Nintendo would have taken them down if someone had posted them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there illegally somewhere, but
I remember there was one Nintendo video I tried to find on YouTube because I really wanted to show it to someone. It was one of the I can't remember what the company was or who the people who made it, but it was like about a bunch of different different kinds of hugs you can give people. And it's like lumberjack hug, and he like hugs a tree in half or something. Time warp hug.
wait, what is this for again?
It was one of the videos that popped up on Nintendo Video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
I regularly checked in on that for a while, and then
I did too because there were no games to play on it.
Yeah,
so.
and then I lost interest after Bravest Warriors stopped being interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think like one of the things it was the DLC for Pikmin 3 that they released, but you actually go inside. They had like a challenge map mode where you tried to get as much treasure as possible within the time limit,
Yeah.
and you competed for high scores with people online. And one of the DLC maps they did for that was inside somebody's house during Christmas time. So they had like a Christmas tree and ornaments and boxes, and it looked so cool. Like you were in somebody's house. Like you could send the Pikmin sliding down the tree.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I feel like if they did a Pikmin movie, they should definitely have the Pikmin like going into someone's house.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing because it's always implied that the Pikmin games are happening on a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be really neat to see that angle. Like maybe
They don't explicitly say what happened or really explain it, but getting to see that kind of Earth from that perspective.
Yeah. I really want to see this movie now, even though it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, who knows? It could be. What if the NX is a home theater?
That's the surprise.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's an experience.
Yeah. So what do you think of the like long rumored Metroid film?
I mean, it's gotta happen. It just
Really?
has to.
I mean, they have like I'm sure they'd have a whole lineup of actresses wanting to play Samus because
Yeah.
who wouldn't?
Definitely.
Not the other M Samus.
No.
Like real Samus.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I just have it in my head that it would. Have you seen Kung Fury?
No.
Okay. It's an indie film. It's about like half an hour long.
Okay.
But it's shot like it's recorded on like a VHS tape. So like it's kind of fuzzy and I would love to see a Metroid movie shot in that kind of retro 80s VHS style. I feel like that kind of old-fashioned cheesiness would play really well into a Metroid setting.
Would it be scary enough though? Because I mean, there's always that kind of light horror element to the Metroid games.
I don't see why they couldn't get away with that, doing it in that style.
Yeah, it's true. I hadn't thought of that. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So would it be a lower budget movie, like a Netflix exclusive?
I hadn't thought about it like that. I almost feel like maybe it would have the appearance of being lower budget.
Okay, but this would be a full feature-length film.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think maybe that's the best thing, but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah. What I don't want to see are like direct to DVD movies.
Yeah, I don't want to see all the cutscenes from Other M in theater.
They had a mode when you finished Other M.
yeah.
Cinema mode.
Yes.
And it would just play all the cutscenes.
I already watched this and it was awful.
Yeah, and it was like a movie length
Yeah.
worth of cutscenes.
It's like, did I really play that much of this? It's like taking out everything that was actually fun in Other M and just like the worst parts of it just highlighted right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure Zelda would work well
Yeah.
as a movie.
It's really hard to think how they would make that work. I almost feel like Zelda feels like it would be a TV series before it was a movie.
Animated?
No, live action.
Okay. So you're still going with that the Netflix rumor of that was the supposed leak that they were doing.
I guess so. It feels like, and maybe I'm thinking more of that. Like a while back, there was a April Fool's trailer for a Zelda movie, and it was like really really well done. And I feel like, but the thing is, I don't know if it would if they could do a movie out of it.
It just doesn't seem possible, like either live action or animated.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time imagining that working. I think an anime would work better.
I think you're right. An anime would definitely suit the Zelda kind of setup better. But like, how would they? I don't think they could do live action really. Because like, how would they do the dungeons? Because the dungeons are very like slow paced and
that would be the
thoughtful.
most boring episode.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
in a forest temple.
It would be an excuse to do flashbacks and
or the water
exposition.
temple level.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
boy.
Link forgetting. Wait, no. I need to put on the boots now, and like a menu pops up, and He's like fiddling with it. Wait, no, I have to go back up and change the water level.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I can't fathom it.
Yeah, I think Kid Icarus would be very interesting.
Oh, Kid Icarus would be amazing.
I still think an anime would work better because they said they want to get into anime and movies, and I feel Kid Icarus would work better for an anime. They did those shorts on Nintendo Video.
Yeah,
and those were amazing.
Yeah.
So.
And it's got that like Saturday morning cartoon goodness about it.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's a lot more substance to it. Mm-hmm. It watching the cartoons that they released, I got a very strong like Hercules kind of feel.
I can kind of see that.
So I feel like Kid Icarus would be maybe a good TV show, and maybe a live action movie.
I'm not sure I see the live action movie for Kid Icarus.
Well, I said
animated Star Fox movie. I would love to see that.
Definitely.
And since they've ruined the franchise in the gaming realm, might as well just move it over to movies.
A question: what did you think of the short that they did for Star Fox Zero? The animated short.
Yeah, I think that could really work as a full-length movie.
Yeah.
They added so much more personality and humor than you ever get with those characters.
Right.
Normally. In fact, I would dare say that short was much better than the actual game.
Yeah.
It was setting up.
Honestly, my only gripe with it was the frame rate. It felt like 12 FPS. For some reason, like, why was the frame rate so low?
I think it was a stylistic choice.
It's like, well, and it's like they had, because they were 3D models, but they were animated at like maybe 12 or 24 frames per second, but they weren't. It's like they just recorded it at that frame rate instead of just having them like drawn at that rate.
Yeah, I understand.
So it was very jarring, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you had mentioned that to me before, and it didn't bother me quite as much, but I can definitely see where you're coming at.
She agrees.
Last few series, I guess, that we didn't talk about. Fire Emblem would make a great anime. Not sure about any kind of film, but
yeah, definitely it would be a good anime.
Yeah, I would definitely watch that. What other series? I mean, there's like Donkey Kong, but I mean, did you watch that like creepy TV show in the 90s?
I've seen a little bit of it. It's
one of the
certainly
most disturbing
something.
Things. Especially Donkey Kong. Just his model is so creepy.
They're all hideous.
They are, but
they're so bad. Yeah, I can't think of any other series.
A Wario movie?
Oh man. Oh, ooh.
What actor would you like to see portray Mario? I mean, Wario.
Danny DeVito.
No, he's going to be voicing the Detective Pikachu movie.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, and I still can't quite wrap my head around that being a thing.
What if that actually existed?
Oh man, that would be fantastic. But in all seriousness, Wario movie would be great.
Or Wario Man, because then that would be Nintendo's entry into like the superhero movie genre.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it's like, and it would fit with his character so much. Like maybe he's trying to get rich, so he thinks, I'll be the superhero. So he creates this Wario Man, but he ends up getting wrapped up or all wrapped up in something a lot bigger than that. Ends up becoming a hero for the wrong reasons. So yeah, I think a Wario movie would be fantastic. I feel like it'd be kind of maybe like a good like kind of maybe a gross movie, but something like the kids and adults alike would enjoy.
Like an edgy PG, like lots of farts, burping, and apparently sweat, as you mentioned before.
Yeah. But I feel like it would also be something a family could enjoy.
Yeah. So there was a new game console from Nintendo announced this week.
Oh yeah.
The Famicom Mini.
Yeah.
I need this thing so bad.
Why is it only releasing in Japan, and is it region locked? No, it can't be because it's
No,
HDMI.
yeah. So I want to see how much it costs to import this. I was like marginally excited for the NES Mini. My one like big drawback was I owned most of those games.
Yeah.
It was just like a cool novelty thing to have. This collection though is so cool. And,
What?
like,
Yeah, I haven't actually seen what games are coming out for it, or what games are coming bundled with it.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know at least 3 or 4 of them are Japan exclusives.
Yeah.
So I have the full list here. So Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Excitebike, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber. Those were already in the NES version.
Right.
Galaga, Year Kung Fu, which is awful. Don't play that.
Okay.
Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, some Japanese game about Atlantis, Gradius, some other Makai Village. That's apparently another exclusive. Solomon's Key, Metroid, Castlevania, Zelda 2, Bumping Sumo, also an exclusive.
Oh boy. Bumping Sumo.
Bumping Sumo. I'll just let you picture what that is going to look like.
I can picture it now. It's 8-bit glory.
Super Mario Brothers 3, Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man 2, River City Ransom, Double Dragon 2, some other, another Super Tamashito. Don't know what that is. Final Fantasy 3, although that one you just kind of have to figure out the story for yourself, I guess, because this is all in Japan.
I've played the remake of 3 and I liked it, but it's kind of hard to. I tried playing it again recently and it's hard to pick up.
Dr. Mario, Mario Open Golf, Super Mario USA, which is our version of Super Mario Brothers 2, and Kirby's Adventure. And then 2 other games that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I'm just going to let you see them.
What was that? Downtown Neketsu Monogatari, Downtown Soreuki Dalundokai. I'm sorry.
So those
I'm
games.
sorry, all of Japan.
So that's like what, 6 games exclusive?
Yeah,
6
that's
Famicom exclusives.
That I feel like that would be fun to. That'd be fun to experience. Just the Japanese
and on
console.
like with the Famicom controllers.
Yeah.
So the player 1 controller has start and select, and the other does not, but they have a microphone. So we finally get to yell at the Pole's voice in The Legend of Zelda.
Finally.
And I don't know if they're using the disk system versions of them. I hope so.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was gonna be the disc system or just the regular.
I don't know that right now, and I'm not sure if they've said. If they did, it was in Japanese text and I couldn't read it. But I don't know if you know this, but the Famicom disk system versions of the games have better soundtracks.
I actually that was something that I wanted to talk to you about because I've been listening to the Famicom disc system soundtrack for Zelda 2.
It's so much
and
better.
I noticed that like it's just does it have an extra channel?
I think it does, and it's also cleaner. Like the noises sound so much better.
They do. It's just so much warmer and
Yeah, so like these are going to be like the ultimate versions of games that I already own. So like I would love to experience the Japanese version of The Legend of Zelda.
And if nothing else, just having a miniature Famicom.
Yeah, it's a
would
conversation starter.
Yeah. Oh man.
I need to import this thing. I don't know how much it's going to be to import.
I know that it's not good. I don't think it'll be that hard to import because I
It's,
remember the new 3DS came out in Japan and everyone was importing that.
Okay. Well, because the NES Mini is $60, right?
Mhm.
So it's going to probably
I
be...
feel like it would be about equivalent. You might pay a little extra for shipping, but
Yeah, it's probably going to be around $70 to $80, I would guess.
yeah.
It's not the cheapest thing to import them, but I might be doing that for this.
Yeah.
So that was their big console reveal this week, not
Yeah.
NX.
But still, that is a pretty neat thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited about the NES Mini.
Yeah, I mean, if I get the Famicom Mini, I'm not going to get the NES Mini, just because I have 2 NES systems, neither of them working at the moment, but
Right.
I have them.
Well, I know for myself that I'm gonna get the the NES Mini,
Okay.
because I don't have those games.
Okay. So if I get the Famicom, then we'll have to do both.
Yeah.
Kind of compare them. So, moving on to NX news, there was yet another Ubisoft tweet praising the NX, saying Nintendo will come back in the race with the NX.
These are all such like vague hints at what they're doing. Like, what is this? Like, is this technology that we haven't seen that they're using?
I really don't know what to expect at this point.
Yeah.
It's so hard to predict with Nintendo. So hard to predict.
I mean, we've talked at length about everything that has been said about this. I don't know that there's too much more we can speculate on. There was another piece of news about Nintendo's not coming to this year's Paris Game Awards.
Games Week.
Games Week.
Yeah.
Which apparently they are very big at usually.
Yeah. I can't think of what they've. I think they just normally show off their games. I don't think it's usually announcements, but. Yeah, so they said they're not ready. Like, it doesn't fit with their plans. The timing does not fit. And so this is late October, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think that means for NX?
I'm thinking that means probably October announcement.
But why wouldn't they want people to get their hands on it at Paris Games Week? Like, if they announced it prior to that, I would feel they would want that extra boost of recognition.
It might not be like the right time, or like it might not be the right place for them to showcase it. It might be because everyone in the world is so excited for this thing. Maybe they're waiting to do like a digital announcement, and then I don't know what other digital events or like electronics type events are coming up towards the end of the year. And
I don't think there are any big ones coming up, but they could do they could do their own events at any point.
That's true. They could.
So they've done that kind of thing at like the Nintendo Store NYC.
Mm-hmm.
They've done that in the past, so maybe something like that.
Maybe.
I mean, New York would just be flooded with Nintendo fans if that were the case.
Yeah.
If that were like the first place you could play it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like if they're not going to this event that they usually have a big hand in, then they've got to be planning something else huge, and it's got to be the NX.
So speaking of like the reveal though, so the Nintendo of Canada, I don't remember the guy's name, was interviewing GameSkinny, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And before the interview happens, the Nintendo representative said, like, please don't ask any questions about the NX, because we'll have to cut this conversation or this interview short. So he's kind of telling him, like, don't, if you start bringing up NX, I'm just going to leave, basically. So,
right. I guess that makes sense, because for the one thing, they've been probably badgered by everyone about it.
Oh, especially I feel bad for like the people running their social media, because every time Nintendo of America posts anything on Twitter, somebody has set up a robot account to automatically say like this is a nice announcement, but where's NX? Like they've programmed it to send that auto tweet every single time. They make any NX non-NX related news.
Like cool news, but what about the NX?
Yeah. So I'm sure they're all tired of hearing about this, but I think it's really their own fault at this point. We need to know what this is. So
and we need to know now. Wouldn't it be funny if they tweet the announcement for the NX and the bot responds, "Cool news, but what about the NX?"
I think it's looking for keywords. So
yeah, it'll probably. Well, no, because we don't know the name of the console. And NX doesn't even, it's just a code name. It doesn't even mean anything.
But if they make the announcement for the announcement, though, they'll call it NX, because they'll announce what the system is called in the event, I feel. Anyways, getting back to the interview, after him telling him, like, we'll cut this interview short if you mention NX, he then said Nintendo is just not ready to talk about it right now, and when they will, it'll probably be in a Nintendo Direct or something. And those lines of that interview were actually cut out and censored by Nintendo afterward. So.
Yeah, and that seems like it's such a tiny thing. Like it feels like an offhand remark.
It has to be about the Nintendo Direct. It has to be because
Yeah.
they haven't censored anything else. Anyone like Ubisoft just keeps praising the NX.
Yeah, and there's been no censoring on that end.
But they censored their own like Nintendo of Canada member for saying Nintendo Direct. So. Yeah.
So I guess.
So you think that's like confirmation that it's going to be a Direct?
I mean, if they're not going to the Paris thing, I can't. Nothing off the top of my head. I can't think of any physical event.
Yeah. Well, again,
So,
they could set up their own, but do you think it's going to be like their own event that they'll invite people to, like the press, or is it going to be a Direct?
They could do both, but I think for sure there's going to be a Direct, because there's always a Direct that kind of keeps people in the loop about what's going on.
Well, and I'm sure they'll do a Direct before the release, but I'm asking like about the reveal specifically.
The reveal specifically, it's hard to say.
It's Nintendo.
It feels like it could be. No, it feels like just as equally that they could set up their own event, just as much as they could announce it digitally.
Yeah. So I mean, we're kind of just discussing nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way of guessing what Nintendo's going to do in the end.
Right.
So
I guess we'll just wait and see. That's all we can do. That's all we've been doing.
And I don't know. Do you think the NX that there's a chance the NX will be delayed?
If it is, they will never hear the end of it.
I mean, with all of this, like, we're not ready to talk about NX. They've said that multiple times.
Now here's a thought. What if they've been delaying it, and we don't know because they haven't released any information about it, so nobody's getting angry about this console being delayed?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm. I guess
that's
what I'm
part of their
asking.
strategy.
I guess that's what I'm kind of asking. Do you think they're going to delay it? And it'll just be like when they do the reveal, it'll just give the new date.
I don't think so, because they've already started producing it, haven't they?
They've been doing test runs, production. So that's like the step before. But I doubt they would revise anything hardware.
Right. If they're already at the point where they're testing production models, then I can't see any reason why they would delay it.
Yeah.
Unless someone hijacks a truck full of them.
What if that's how the NX gets revealed?
Oh yeah, someone steals a freight truck filled to the brim with Nintendo's new console.
Oh
just
man,
in time for the holidays.
I am so tired of waiting for this reveal. I am so tired of waiting.
Yeah. Every time I check my phone, I go through all my news channels, and I'm hoping that there's some new kernel of information about the NX, and there's always like a tiny little, like, someone has mentioned the NX, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's all we've got right now.
So do you think they're like trying to build up this hype intentionally?
They've definitely been doing that on purpose. There's no other reason for them to be so hush hush and deliberately secretive about it.
Yeah, that's true. I think at some point though, it's going to start becoming negative.
Yeah.
So if they wait too long, I think they're going to lose a lot of the hype.
Mm-hmm. It'll be like Half-Life 3. Basically, everyone,
console.
Like the game, everyone all over the world has joked about everything's gonna come out before Half-Life 3. It'll become the new Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 will release before the NX. That's not an actual prediction.
Well, no, it'll be a launch title.
That
Valve will start developing for.
Dude, what if Half-Life 3, NX.
Yeah, if the NX reveal, like before they show off any of the new games, what if it's just like Half-Life 3 and Mother 3? Like as a bundle. That would be so amazing.
That would. Can you imagine how... This is kind of like a rabbit trail.
Okay.
Imagine what the world is going to feel like after they've announced Half-Life 3.
It's going to be disappointing because at this point nothing could possibly live up to the standards that fans have set
Yeah.
for this game.
Because people have been waiting, I don't know how long, so many years, and they've been hyping up Half-Life 3, and Valve hasn't even like said anything about it.
So, like, have you played the Half-Life games?
I have. I haven't played the episodes. I know
Okay,
there's like
but you
Half-Life
played-
2, episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But I've played Half-Life and Half-Life 2.
Are they that good?
They're good.
But are they that good? Like, do they
No.
deserve this amount of hype? I feel like no game should deserve that much.
At this point, no, they don't deserve that amount of hype. I will say I'm going to be very excited when Half-Life 3 is finally announced, but at this point, people have been waiting for it for so long that anything that we could have been expecting, we can't. It can't possibly live up to our expectations.
Yeah.
So, I feel like people are inevitably going to be disappointed.
I think that's probably why they're not going to ever make Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, until the NX comes out.
Right.
And then we'll get all the threes. We'll get Team Fortress 3 and Portal 3.
Did you hear something about a Portal movie?
I did. I don't think this should happen. I'm just saying. I'm
I
throwing
don't-
that out there.
I'm not sure how they could do it.
A puzzle game, like, okay, they recently made Ace Attorney into an anime, and I haven't watched it yet. But it feels like that would really take away from the one thing that made that game so interesting. Like, the story is half of it, but the other half is like you actually being involved in the case.
Right.
So in the same way, like Portal is a puzzle game, and you know it has story, but it's more told through GLaDOS, and that's like pretty much it.
Right.
So,
And it's about you fighting your way through the facility and discovering the story yourself at your own pace.
I don't think that transitions well.
It's
into a movie.
a very fine line to walk.
Because I feel like Assassin's Creed, the movie, is coming out later this year, and I feel like that would work better. This still could be a terrible movie, but
Well, because the games are historical fiction.
yeah.
So, there's only so much that you can get wrong with historical fiction.
Yeah, like this should be a good video game movie. They have a good lineup of actors and whatnot, but I don't think Portal could work. I really don't. There aren't enough characters. There's not enough like consistently engaging story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the characters would probably have to be very strong because I don't know that there would be too much story. Although it would depend on the perspective that they went with it. Like if the way they're doing it is not to translate the game Portal into a movie, but to tell the story of the universe Portal set in via movie.
Like a prequel movie?
Yeah, explain, kind
That could be
of show
interesting.
the beginnings of Aperture and
That could be
its
so
downfall.
interesting. And like an after credits scene is the announcement of Portal 3.
Yes.
That would be the best thing they could do.
Or the Blu-ray special features extra Easter egg.
Yeah.
Is a teaser trailer for Portal 3.
So my one thing though is like video game movies they've had such a terrible track record, and it's really because the studios themselves, like the people funding, the big corporate studios funding these movies, just don't care about the franchises, and so they kind of have to cut corners, and it ends up being disappointing.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of that could probably be attributed to that one German guy who just cashed in on video game movies as as like a tax evasion type deal. So there's that part of it.
Well, that's true, but like I went to see Ratchet and Clank earlier this year, and
Yeah.
it was so disappointing.
I'd heard that it was kind of boring.
Like I wanted to go see it because I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan,
Mhm.
and how can you get that wrong? Like the games feel like you're playing an animated Pixar movie,
Right.
but it really got lost in translation. There were some good moments, but it was never as good as any of the games. So I don't want to see that happen to Portal, I guess is where I'm coming from. So.
Right. Like I said, I feel like if they tried to turn the game into a movie, I don't think it would work. But if they tried to take the story of the
Yeah,
universe,
I'm down for your prequel idea. I think that could be really interesting.
yeah,
And then there's some other studio that I don't know what they're called, but they're going to be like their whole thing is going to be adapting video games into movies,
Uh-huh.
and they announced a Firewatch movie.
I had heard about that. I
I-
haven't played
I'm-
Firewatch, but
I haven't, but I've seen footage, and it looks so good as a video game.
Mm,
I think this is going to be a horrible movie. I'm just predicting it's going to be terrible. It's one of those. Firewatch is one of those like walking simulator games, as they call them.
yeah,
So it's very much about putting you into that role.
and yeah,
Not
and-
seeing your main character is a big part of that game.
right.
So
So maybe it would be like a less intense hardcore Henry.
I don't know where to go from there.
Average Arnold.
Average Arnold. Yeah, I mean, I've only seen some gameplay bits, but I want to play that game. It looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks so interesting. Again, I don't think that's going to transition well into a movie. Somehow we got back on
Yeah.
movies, even though we
Yeah.
need to get off of movies. And
Yeah, we're not even talking about Nintendo
Yeah.
movies.
Minute 10. So,
Yeah, how do we get this back on track?
what are we going to talk about though? What else do we have to talk about?
I don't know. I guess let's just kind of try and close up these rabbit trails.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't played Firewatch. It definitely looks so good. It doesn't look like what you expect it's going to be. And
Mhm.
by that I mean you expect it to just be about this guy who's a park ranger, but then it like little things start seeming more and more sinister and unnerving and weird, and there's a weirder story than you would suppose.
Yeah, and I mean the whole game is told via a walkie-talkie.
Mhm.
Like your character talking to another character, and that's like the whole game.
Right.
And that kind of like first-person exploration-based game, like there's a reason it's a video game, and those kind of stories can really only be told well through a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's certain things movies can't really do, and that kind of first-person exploration game is not something they can really handle. So
Right, because if you take out that view where you are the person living those events and discovering that story for yourself, you take
Mhm.
that out and give that to everyone, it's not so special anymore.
exactly. So I'm really opposed to this idea, and
Yeah.
it seems like this studio wants to continue doing that to other like first-person exploration games. I really hope that this movie fails just so they can stop doing that. I mean, I
But
hate
will-
to say that, but
But will they stop, even if it fails?
I mean, if they make a major, if they like lose a lot of money on this movie, I think they might.
I just want it to be good. I just want them to make.
But it's called it is good, and it's called the game. Go play the game. Don't watch the movie.
Have you played Firewatch? I forget if you
No,
said.
I have not.
Okay,
It just looks good.
So
and
neither of us has any
Any
like,
opinion on
any
the actual.
any opinion grounded in experience.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've watched like the first like half hour of it,
Uh-huh.
so I feel like, and I was so engrossed like that, I forgot I was actually like watching a video. So
Mm-hmm. What if they did it like that?
a first person. Huh.
First person
I'm
movie.
trying to think. Yeah.
Because
That
I mean,
could work,
you're just
actually.
saying that you were watching someone else play it. for
Yeah.
half an hour, and you
I
were
just thought of
engrossed.
that.
So maybe it's not such a bad idea.
It's still going to be inferior, though. Like, I feel like I would have been even more into it had I been in control.
Right.
Because it is kind of an open world that you can explore.
And even if you're watching someone else playing it, you still know that it's a game. Someone else is making those choices.
Yeah.
But you still have it in your mind, like, if I were playing this, I could be making different choices.
Yeah. So I'm still opposed to it. I'm not gonna turn away from that, but I like the idea of kind of a hardcore Henry that's not so hardcore.
Yeah, maybe hardcore Henry has decided to retire a little bit, but he's still shot from his perspective.
Yeah.
But then he has to go out of retirement and then jump on top of buildings again, and out of.
Well, the sequel to Hardcore Henry, he teams up with Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Hail to the king, baby.
I only know one other quote, and
It's probably not.
Yeah, to keep it clean for all of the younger folks who may or may not be listening. The other let's see. So we got Reggie is one of the 11.
Wait, what is this?
Our listeners, our
okay,
subscribers.
okay.
So Reggie is one of those. I'm subscribed to our channel.
Yeah.
I think Patrick might be.
Yes.
So
The
maybe there were
founding-
like 5 other kids. And who's left?
I have a friend, I think, who has 2 different channels and subscribed twice. So.
We're really reaching out. We're really reaching far, aren't we?
Yeah, I know like almost everyone on. I think there's 2 or 3 subscribers that I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll work on it. We'll get it out there.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to start. You start with friends and family, and then it gets out,
Mhm.
and next thing you know, you're the next best thing to PewDiePie. I hope we're not.
I don't want to be that popular.
No, I don't ever want to be that popular.
I'm thinking like a good 1,000 views per. Is like
Let's
the
be
inevitable goal.
let's be
Are you
like
going higher or lower?
let's be like Markiplier, but like when he was first like kind of starting to gain popularity.
So how many subscribers was that, or views per, average views per video?
Sub 1 million.
So you're shooting for way higher than I am with this. I'm trying to be realistic. So let's set it.
I'd like to maybe be like a couple hundred, maybe.
Okay. So let's set a goal, like a couple hundred by this time next year.
Okay.
I like how we have no influence on people listening to this, but we're like setting goals as if it's achievable.
Yeah, what's the prize for getting X hundred listeners?
And a free NX.
A free NX.
Because Reggie will give it to us. He's one of our founding listeners.
Reggie's our buddy. He's our
Longtime
guy.
fan.
Long time fan, first time prize giver.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we segue out of this?
Well, maybe an NX is a bit high, but maybe Bill Trinan comes in with some donuts.
Have you seen Bill Trinan with donuts in the past few directs?
We're gonna get a box with crumbs, but they'll be delicious crumbs.
Delicious. It'll be the experience is worth more than the donuts. Golly.
How do we get out of
Where have we gone?
Oh, speaking of donuts, did you see that Korea is getting Pokemon donuts?
Yeah.
I want those so bad.
Why
Why does Korea get all the fun stuff?
Yeah, they get physical Nintendo rewards. They get video game soundtracks.
Do we know that?
Huh?
We're Korea, South Korea, not North Korea.
I was just thinking like
If you hum the Super Mario theme song, you get put in prison or something.
Oh. And I'm proud to be an American.
I think we've lost our minds.
I think
we don't know how to end it, so we just keep stalling and moving to different topics.
It might be a good time to just pull the plug.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Zach Tussing.
I'm Charles Fillmore.
I think.
This has been an experience.
a Quadratics gaming experience.
Quadratics gaming audio phonic
Experience.
Thank you for putting up with us.
Thank you, Reggie, for listening.
Yes, thanks, Reggie. We love you.